I now request Dr. Mohammed Hussain, Vice President of ELA, to occupy the chair of that. Myself, Mohammed Gauss, Deputy Department Secretary, I will be the MC for this special lecture on Dalit studies. Remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, before any act, we turn all the hardships into easiness. Now I call upon Mr. Inamul Hassan from 3rd branch to recite few verses from Holy Quran.
Assalamu alaikum and a cheerful morning to one and all present here. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي صدق الله العظيم. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Inamul Hassan. Your voice was so pleasant. I now call upon Head in Charge, Professor Burhanuddin Talvi sir, to welcome the gathering.
Thank you, boss. Morning, everyone. This is the first program for this academic year, conducted under the aegis of English Literary Association. We have arranged a lecture on Dalit studies, and I take great delight in welcoming our chief guest for the day, Professor Dr. Somnath Kisan Jagtap from Pune, Koregaon. That's the place where he hails from. I welcome you, sir. Thanks for coming. I also welcome the head of the department, Professor Sayyid Ahmad. I welcome the other seniors here, and I welcome the Vice President of the English Literary Association, Mr. Hussain, and Dr. Anwar, Dr. Naresh, and Vice President of the Students' Union, Shifwan, Professor Ismail, and Professor Hadi, Professor Zahid, Professor Shams, Professor Rahman, and Hussain, Department Irfan, Department Secretary, DS, and very specifically the students for whom this is meant, especially the PG students. I wish they could have been more in number. Anyway, the second years are here. At least half the classes here, I hope. And we have some research scholars also. This will be very useful for you. Okay, so this topic, this will open up scope for you to further research. Okay, and Professor has come all the way from. Yes, he is going to get a proper introduction from our Vice President. But it's it will be very fruitful if you listen to this lecture. And as I said, it's going to open up various scope for you to do further research in your studies. If you have not opted for Dalit studies, you can. to listen to him. So he's probably is going to speak for about 40 to 45 minutes. After that, we'll also have an interaction. You can throw questions if you want. Okay, so you can get clarifications if you want any clarifications. Okay, so I welcome all of you once again, and now I throw open the forum. All the best, but before that, I have a request. Please keep your mobile phones in silent mode. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your heartfelt warm welcome, sir. And now I call upon Dr. Mohammad Hussain, Vice President of ELA, to introduce our today's speaker.
Good morning to one and all present here. I am grateful to the resource person, Dr. Somnath Jagtap, an associate professor from BD College Mahavidyalaya, Kodegaon, Pune, for being here amidst us. As a vice president, it is a pleasure for me to introduce our resource person today. Dr. Somnath Jagtap is a researcher and academician with over 20 years experience, specialized in Dalit studies, having presented in various seminars and conferences both in national and international forums. He has done his doctorate in Dalit studies under the title Negotiations of Dalit Identity in Marathi Theatre after the Dalit Panther movement. A few notable conferences that he has attended and the papers he has presented include a conference on freedom of culture and culture of freedom in Poland in the year 2015. He has also been a part of various other international conferences conducted by reputed institutions such as University of Genoa, Italy in 2016, Grotowski Institute, Wroclaw in Poland in the year 2018. Very recently, Leiden University from Netherlands in the year 2024. This list of achievements of the resource person undoubtedly makes him the apt person for today's session on Dalit literature. I am sure that all the students as well as research scholars will benefit from this lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your brief introduction of our speaker. Now I call upon Professor Syed Sarmat Ahmad, sir, Controller of Examination, Accounting Department, to present the show. Vice President of the English Literary Association, to present our writer. Thank you, sir. Now I call upon Professor Syed Sarmat Ahmad, sir, Head of the Department, Controller of Examinations, to give presidential address.
Respected Head of the Department in charge, Mr. Burhanuddin Dalvi, the very vibrant IPSC Director who brought 3.61 to our college, Dr. Anwar Sabah. The first person with a PhD in our department, Dr. Dalit, way back in 2000. He was the first person to join the department with a PhD degree. Dr. Ismail, the Vice President of Students Union, Dr. Mohammad Hussain, Dr. Hadi, Dr. Zahir Abdullah, Dr. Shamsuddin, Dr. Yati, my super senior in college, Mr. Vijay Kumar, a few research scholars. I thought that we had only number because this program, as mentioned by Mr. DVD, is for you, both PG and UG students. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh and a very good morning. I'm not going to take much of your time and I do not want to stand between you and the chief guest. But let me point out a few things to you. As rightly pointed out by Mr. DVD, this is the first program that we have for this academic year. And we are very fortunate that Mr. Somnath is here amidst us. He has come on a, he has not come on a formal visit. He has come on a trip to Chennai, and thanks to Dr. Sada, we have made use of such a wonderful resource person today. Give him a big hand. With a brief conversation with him, I understand that he is very sound in a lot of things. He has traveled around the world, and his PhD thesis is also based on Dalit literature. To PG students, you may be familiar with what Dalit literature is. He is going to throw more light upon that. And a lot of researchers, as suggested by DVD sir, at the end of this you can think of doing your research on Dalit literature. It is not that no work is done on Dalit literature. A lot of work is already done on the Dalit literature. There are great writers both in Tamil Nadu as well as all over India. My understanding is Dalit literature is very predominant, and it has emerged as one of the types of literatures because of the regional aspects. So it is very familiar, popular in regional languages. We have a lot of writers from Marathi, Bengali, Kannada, Telugu. In Tamil, we have a lot of writers like Imayam, Sivagami, Karuk, famous novelist Karuk. And so there are a lot of novels in English also. The White Tiger also touches upon a little, slightly touches upon this Dalit literature, but it is not entirely on Dalit literature. Also, a lot of small things also. Yes, the character, the name Meluta, I believe, who belongs to the untouchable community, if I am not right, sorry, if I am not wrong. So, this lecture is going to be an eye-opener to most of you. Since Dalit literature has already got a place in Indian literature, like the literature for marginalized people, the subaltern, and we call about the literature for the other or the otherness. This is what is emerging today. We have writers who are not from the native countries, but from the marginalized who are becoming very popular. Whether it be Dalit literature or literature on Muslims, or other literatures. So, third world literature is emerging, and Sir is going to give a lecture on that. Before I conclude, I only wish that there should be a literature called Muslim literature. Mohaja Kahf, a very famous writer, she has spoken about Muslim American literature in one of her lectures, and she says that Muslim American literature will emerge shortly. There are writers who are known as British Muslim women writers. There are writers known as Arab American writers, but why not Muslim literature? So I want the researchers and the guides to probe more into it and to bring this literature as one of the emerging literatures of the world. Thank you for the opportunity. Hope you all will enjoy Dr. Somnath's lecture.
Thank you, sir. Now it's time to call our chief guest, Dr. Somnath Kisan Jagtap. The stage is yours, sir.
said about me and my so-called achievements. So first, forget all those Hussein has said. Well, though I am a teacher, first of all, I mentioned to students here, I am a human being, just like you. Unfortunately, you are younger to me, so it's a matter of numbers or age. But we are sailing in the same boat. I am also learning every day. I learn from vendors, from teachers, from students, from all walks of life. That's all the people whom I experience during the journey or at home. So wherever I get an opportunity, I share my experiences with the person, though he is unknown to me. I just start the conversation in the local language wherever I go. I learn basic 2-3 utterances in local language. So when I boarded the cab, so I asked the cab driver, so he said, okay, it's okay, I enter Somnath. So he was so happy and he started conversing with me. So after that, I told him that I know Tamil Kunzam. So basically, I like to connect the people and make the people to realize that we are all human beings. So whatever the religion, whatever the caste, whatever the philosophy we follow, so basically, biologically, we are human beings. I believe in biology. But unfortunately, I'm going to discuss a topic which seems to be a little bit digression to what I have said so far. And I'm discussing it so that we can be aware of it. The moment we realize that something is bad with the world, we start working on it. So the idea of realization is the beginning of development. So it is just an attempt to introduce some of the problems the world is facing, especially India, and the problem is the caste discrimination. So if you look at the title here, if you look at each and every word, so you can realize that I am going to confine myself to Maharashtra region 1. Caste is not limited to Maharashtra. Even in Tamil Nadu, people are facing caste discrimination. Even in Kerala, in Bihar, in Punjab. So Punjab is a typical case. All the people, most of the people, they follow Sikhism. But in spite of that, there are some people, those who are Dalits or scheduled caste, they are facing caste discrimination from Sikhs as well. So this problem is not limited to particular religion. Even in Tamil Nadu, those who have converted to Christianity, especially lower caste people, they are also facing discrimination from the upper caste Christians. And even I heard that lower caste Christians in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, they have their different churches. If I am wrong, please correct me. So the point that I am making here, look at the words here, Dalits in Maharashtra and their representation in Marathi literature and Hindi fields. So the topic that I have chosen, if you just cut into 3 parts. First, Dalits in Maharashtra, their representation in Marathi literature and representation in Hindi fields. So I haven't taken regional fields. There are some regional fields which have depicted or represented Dalit issues. But as India is known for Bollywood movies, so I have included 2 movies in my presentation. One is from 80s, movie called Southern, and next one is Lagan, a famous Amir Khan's movie. Will you please change the slide? Someone sees it. Okay. And the areas I am going to cover in my presentation, the areas that I mentioned, Dalit identity as an assertive identity. I am going to just elaborate on these topics. Just introductory part I am going to talk about. Then Jagtap and anti-caste activism, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar and anti-caste movement, the rise of the Dalit Panther movement, Marathi Dalit literature after Dalit Panthers, and marginalization of Dalit women. Apart from these topics, I am going to discuss other issues as well. The Marathi theatre and the dominance of the upper caste in 19th century. Satyaratna play by Jagtap play and Satish Chodak and Ambedkar Jalsas. Marathi Dalit self-narratives, just like Karapu you have. So in Maharashtra we have Badunto, the outcast, which is called Akarmashi or Uchlya, which is translated to English as the candidate. Then Marathi theatre and poetry and representation of Dalits in Marathi and Hindi films. So these are the 10 topics I am going to cover in my discussion. So the next slide. So if you just look at this slide, in this slide I am going to talk about this caste identity. Just see the first topic, caste not a colonial construct. So why I am saying this? So the people, especially those who are running away from this issue, they say that caste discrimination doesn't exist, or it exists because of the Britishers and the foreigners. So I want to negate this point. Therefore, just I have mentioned these 4 lines from a saint called Choka Mahar, who is scheduled caste or Mahabai caste, and he is from 14th century. And he says, "Run me too, don't be slow. The Burwes are beating me." The Burwes are priests in Pandharpur. Pandharpur is a place which is known for a god Victor, and Burwes are priests in that temple. So Chokhama belongs to Varkari Sampradaya. So it's one of the sects in Maharashtra, so where people those believe in Vaishnavism. They pray or they worship Victor in Pandharpur. Chokhama is one of the saints, and he has written that, see, run me too. He's asking the God, come and help me. Don't be slow. The Burwes are beating me. Burwes mean upper caste. As if I have done a sin. They are cursing the Maha and saying he has polluted the God. So I want to just mention here, I want to just show that the caste exists before foreigners come to India. It is not foreigners. Some people believe Mughals or Muslim foreigners, Muslim traders and Britishers for making the caste discrimination existence in India. But actually it's not true. Even if you read Rigveda, you will find some verses in which the caste is justified. The caste discrimination is justified. But I don't want to go into that. I want myself to be limited to science literature, because nowadays the people say that science literature or literature produced by some saints, it propagates equality. Actually, it's not true. There are so many verses, so many abhangas in which that caste system is justified, or caste discrimination is depicted. Even the case which I have mentioned here, a work called Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar in 1936, he published a booklet called Annihilation of Caste in 1936. So he was invited in Lahore to talk about the caste discrimination, and he prepared a speech. He posted that speech to the person who invited him, or the agency called Jagtap Product Mandal in Lahore, which was one of the wings of Arya Samaj. And he was invited to talk about caste discrimination. He sent the draft of the speech to the organizer, and after reading the draft, the organizer sent a letter, "Sir, I am very sorry that you should not come for the program." So Ambedkar had that draft ready, so he published it as an annihilation of caste, and in that text, he mentions that saints literature is not free from caste discrimination. And he quotes one of the Marathi saints called Sant Eknath, and he quotes his line. It runs, "Antyachacha vitalajasi Ganga snani shuddhi tasi." That is one who gets polluted by touching an untouchable. He can get rid of sin by taking a dip in Ganga. So these lines, there are so many lines, so many verses or poems that you can find in science literature where caste problem is depicted. Even Somnath Tukaram. Yesterday I was reading his verses. I come across his idea of Mahar and Man. These are untouchable castes in Maharashtra. He says one who is not worshipping Vaishnavism or Vittal is untouchable. So I had a different image of Somnath Tukaram before reading this verse. I had the image that he is propagating equality, and he is considering all the castes equal. Means all people are equal human beings, but actually it's not true. So this point I want to mention that the caste is not a colonial construct. And the point that I am making here, why I am mentioning these things, the people who say that caste problem is not our problem at all. It is a colonial construct. It's true to some extent. I also accept. But caste discrimination existed before the foreigners come here. What Britishers do, Britishers started census. And they brought the caste discrimination on the paper. So we should not blame the Britishers. It's just like when you go to the doctor asks you to do some medical test, and you realize that you have got certain problem. Now tell me whether that test is responsible for your problem or you is responsible for your problem. So Britishers did the test. Problem was there. Britishers just brought that forward and put that problem on the paper in the form of census. Even if you just study the census, especially before 1930s, and I'm quite sure that after 1932, there is no caste census in India. Now some political leaders, they are demanding caste census. So if you study the caste census in colonial India, you will realize that is how people were asserting different caste identities and different religions within Hinduism. People who were Christians and Muslims, they were asserting their Muslim and Christian identity. But the problem with Hindu people were that, or the problem they faced, that they were not sure what to say, what to mention, whether religion or caste or profession. So if you just go through 1872 or 1882 census, you will come across that people are registering their caste identities as religion. Because they were not sure whether they are Hindus or not. Only upper caste people, those who are 2-3% people, they claim themselves as Hindu. This idea of Hindu came into existence in the late 19th century on the paper. When it comes to assertions, especially in Punjab, people call themselves, even in Andhra, they call Adi Dravida or Adi Andhra. In Punjab, they call Ad Dharma. So we are not Hindu, we are Ad Dharmi. That is, we are not part of any religion which is included in the census. And there were more than 20% people in India, 20% Hindus, they didn't call themselves Hindus in the earlier census. So we have to look at that issue. And the problem with the research students that sir has mentioned, so they are not looking into the government gazettes or the government documents, especially colonial documents, when it comes to caste issue. I'll be happy if one of you come up with this issue and look into the problem of the caste and how it is recorded in colonial India by the Britishers. People just start from Jyotiba Phule and Ambedkar. They talk about what is happening in this village or that village, what has happened yesterday, what happened last year. But we are not going to the root where it is located. It was there, as I mentioned, in the science literature. But the test is done by the Britishers. And it is good. It's not something bad they have done. We could realize the issue. Just like medical, because of the medical test, we realize the problem that we face. So some upper caste, those who don't want to accept that caste is a problem of India, they blame others. Even if you go to north, in Delhi or in UP, in Bihar, they have the notion that everything was fine in India before foreigners come. So I am just pointing towards this issue through this page. That is, problems were there. We should not blame the foreigners for what we had. That's the point I wanted to make here in this slide. Next. Then about the caste. Look at the first caste as an endogamous social entity. Endogamous, it means that you are not allowed to marry outside your caste. You have to marry within your caste. You have to choose your right partner from your caste. If you get married, you will be penalized. And even in 21st century in India, youth are penalized, murdered, or they are outcast by the people. I would like to quote an example from Karachi, from your state. A girl called Kaushalya from upper caste, I don't want to name the caste. She married a Dalit boy called Shankar. Both were engineering students in Karachi. This case is just 8 to 10 years old, but I read it in newspapers, so even there are some articles on this case as well. When they get married, their girl's parents, upper caste parents, they were not happy with her decision. The boy was hacked to death in Karachi in daylight, in the afternoon. There were CCTV footages. Nobody came forward to register a case, file a case. It is because of Brinda Kara, one of the CPI leaders. She came to Chennai from Delhi and she approached the High Court and asked the court to look into this issue. So if you Google the name Kaushalya and Shankar in Karachi, you can find the information. So it is not something old, something ancient I am talking about. Even last year, there were some cases in Haryana where they call it honor killing. To justify this killing as honor killing. So we are killing these people for the sake of honor that we have. So the problem that I am going to discuss is not a problem of the past, a problem of the ancient period. It's a problem of the present that we are still facing. So the endogamous entity means that it's a closed entity. That your group is closed. You can't enter another group. Ambedkar used to call endogamy as forced story building without staircase. So you have to be where you are born. If you are born on the top floor, so you will die on the top floor. If you are down, you are going to die down. You are not going to be up on the first floor, or the second floor, or the third floor. It's just like this hierarchy is just like the four-story buildings. And he called it a Chaturvarna system. And this hierarchy is maintained because of this word called endogamy or endogamous nature. Because the marriage allows us to mix with other people. Marriage is one institution, social institution, by which that we can connect people from other castes, other religion, or other linguistic or regional backgrounds. And therefore, people like Jyotiba Phule, then even Kannada saint called Baswanna. So they were propagating intercaste marriages. Because marriage is the only social institution by which we can come up, we can come up of this problem, or we can eradicate this caste discrimination. Education, no doubt, is one more solution to this. But education nowadays has become just a competition or running after money. People are not worried about the problems that we are facing. We are taking education because we want to have good jobs or enter good IT sector or IT companies and have luxurious kind of life that people are enjoying. So the endogamy maintains hierarchy, that is it's a 4-story building I mentioned. Then Chaturvarna system also I mentioned when I talked about these 4-story buildings. That 4-story buildings is just like 4 varnas, and each varna you can call it a 1 floor, then 2nd floor, 3rd floor, 4th floor. And these 4-story buildings has no staircase at all, no lift. Then the last point, which is quite interesting, and I would like to discuss this point in detail, that Shudra caste and untouchable caste, both are different castes. When it comes to Chaturvarna system, Shudra is the 4th in rank, 4th and last. But what about the untouchable castes? They are not part of Chaturvarna system. They are outside the system. They call it Pancham, Antej, Chandal. So these 3 words you can find in Sanskrit, whichever sun side. Chandal, Antej, or Pancham. This Asprusha or untouchable, this word came into existence in the census. Before that, these untouchables were known as Antej, or a person who is last in the rank. Chandal. Chandal is one kind of abuse. And one more word I would like to mention: Antej, Chandal, and Pancham. Pancham, that is 4 varna, and he is the Pancham, but he is not part of the varna system. So the untouchables or the Pancham, or you can call the Chandalas, they are not part of the Chaturvarna system. They are outside the system. And this is one of the reasons that when you visit the villages, you will find untouchables people living away from the village boundaries, because they are not part of the system. In Marathi we call it Maharwada or Mangwada. Here in Tamil Nadu you call it Pariya or something like that, I don't know. They have their houses which are away from the upper caste people or other people from the Chaturvarna system. So one should understand the difference between these two. And the point I want to make here, I am not talking about just untouchables. I am talking about all the people in India. If you are suffering, it means that I am also suffering. So this feeling we should develop. If you are not worried about the sufferings of the others, it means that you are not worried about yourself. And this is one of the points that I am going to discuss tomorrow in Krishnamurti Foundation. So, in these 4 points, I would like to just mention that there are 4 varnas. Those 4 varnas have 4 different layers, just like 4-story building that Ambedkar has mentioned without stairs. Then this Shudra caste and untouchable caste, the difference between these two. Just introduction of the caste that I am giving. Now, Dalit identity. So there are words like untouchables, scheduled castes, exterior castes, outcasts, to signify formerly known untouchable castes. But what is Dalit? Nowadays, the people say that to define the word Dalit has become a little bit difficult. So why? Because Dalits, they don't call themselves Dalit. Because they say that we were not interested in the past. Yeah, we were Dalits, but we are not Dalits now. Even there is one petition in Supreme Court, still it's pending. Some people are against the use of this word in media. They say Dalit is the word which is an insult to formerly untouchable castes. Those who are educated, those who have got jobs because of the reservation, or it's their right. So they don't want to be called as Dalits. So they went to the court, filed a petition, and asked the Supreme Court to pass a verdict not to use this word in the media. Actually, there is a politics behind it. Because in India, the word Dalit is quite problematic for the people who are in power. Because they don't want people to come together under the umbrella called Dalit. So therefore, they are asking the Supreme Court to ban these words so that people won't come together. That's the politics they have, I think. So, Dalit identity is actually a caste identity. It has nothing to do with your caste identity. In Marathi, Dalit means who is crushed, downtrodden, exploited. But even say woman is also exploited. So can we say that women are Dalits? Farmers are exploited. Can we say farmers are Dalits? It becomes so problematic when we apply this word literally. Some people, they try to define in this way, but I want to make it clear that Dalit identity is a caste identity. If you start using this identity for each and everyone who is exploited, then there is a problem. Because women are exploited, they have their different reasons. Untouchable, so-called formerly untouchable castes are exploited, they have their different reasons. Okay. So in that matter, because of that, I want to just mention that Dalit identity is a caste identity. It has nothing to do with gender, caste, or region, or your profession. Then look at these 2 points that I have mentioned in this slide: assigned identities and asserted identities. Assigned identities, for example, your names. Is there anyone who has chosen his own name? Your name is given by your parents. So this is assigned identity. That someone has given you the name. Your mother, your parents, your aunt, or your uncle. So they might have given you the name. That is, naming is the process of assigning identity. But when you say that I am graduate, it means that you are asserting your identity. You have owned it. It's your identity. Your name is not your identity. You are, to some extent, the caste and religion, these are not asserted identities, they are assigned. Your caste and your religion is decided before you are born, because it is decided by the identity of your parents. So I would like to make distinction between assigned identities and asserted identities. The word called Harijan or scheduled caste, these identities for untouchable castes, they are assigned identities. Scheduled caste was given by Britishers in 1935. Harijan, this name was given by M.P. Gandhi. Some people think, even I think, this word is an abuse. The word Harijan is an abuse. If you just look into the origin of this word, then you will come to know it's an abuse. Harijan means a person who is born
to a parents which are from different castes. Father is from upper caste, mother is from lower caste. Even when Gandhi was using this word Harijan, in 1930s, some Dalit leaders in Maharashtra, they were against the use of this word Harijan. They used to say we are not Harijans at all. But still, most of the people in India, they call Dalits as Harijan. So we should not get confused between Dalit and Harijan. No doubt it signifies untouchable castes, but these are different perception of untouchable castes. People used to say in 1930s, we are Harijan, that is, we are sons and daughters of the God. What about you? Aren't you sons and daughters of the God? Why you can't yourself Harijan? Why only untouchable castes are Harijan? Why not other people? If you are saying Harijan means sons and daughters of the God, then why only untouchable castes are Harijans? So this point was raised in 1930s when Gandhi was using Harijan. And this point was raised by folk performers. They would go to villages, one village to another village, and perform and propagate the idea of caste equality. And through those performances, they would say that we are not Harijans. And then they realized, see, we are not calling absolute castes, we are not calling Harijans, then who we are? In 1950s, there was, we can say, a conference of some literary figures in Mumbai in 1952. And they call it a conference of Dalit writers. Dalit Sahitya Mandal. So in 1952, this word was used to signify literature produced by formerly untouchable castes. So this asserted identity was needed at that time in 1950s. And formerly untouchable caste, especially Mahars, in Maharashtra, they opted for the word Dalit. And they started using that we are Dalits, we are not scheduled castes, we are not Harijan. So one should look into this origin of the word. So before talk about Dalit identity and Dalit studies or caste discrimination in India, how these words are evolved. As a research student, I still call myself, I am a research student, I am not still person, I am a research student like you, I am a student like you. So whatever I face, first I look into the origin of the word, and you will see the problem. Nowadays, what is happening that we are assuming some things. We are assuming the meanings of the words without understanding what does it mean. We are using those words. Just like Harijan. So people started calling untouchables Harijan without understanding the word. If a particular section of the society is Harijan, what about the other sections? So they didn't have this point in their mind when they started calling the untouchables Harijans. Then the next point that I want to mention, Dalit Panthers movements attempt to expand its scopes. I mentioned that each and every one can be called a Dalit, but there is a problem. The Dalit Panther movement, they started enlarging its scopes, the word. They started to include women, then farmers, then workers, mill workers especially. It's a political move in 1970s. And it failed because of this view of Dalit identity. They wanted to bring people together under the umbrella called Dalit. For example, say mill workers. In those days there were cotton mills in Mumbai. Even in Chennai as well, in 1960s, 70s, till late 70s. So mill workers, they have their different castes. They have their same problem as a mill worker. But when it came to caste identity, they used to call, oh, I'm not Dalit or I'm upper caste, you're lower caste. So that kind of thing was happening in Mumbai. So for 2 years, this Dalit Panther movement, it lasted. Just 2 years. Some people realized that we have made the mistake by enlarging its scope, by bringing people from different fields or different strata of society to under this umbrella term called Dalit, and it failed. And it failed because it has established as a caste identity. Nobody from upper caste was ready to accept himself or herself as Dalit. Because he or she used to think Dalit means untouchable caste. Though Dalit means downtrodden, but now it signifies untouchable. So I am not untouchable. In the beginning, some people were very excited about the Dalit Panther movement. Oh, it's good now. We are bringing women, we are bringing mill workers, we are bringing untouchable caste together to fight against unjust mechanism. Especially left-wing parties. Left-wing parties were Communist Party, so they were in favor of bringing communists and Dalits together. But it failed because they used to think that we belong to different castes. They didn't get rid of this notion of caste. Therefore it failed. And still in India, that we are facing this problem. Though women are having problems, farmers are having problems, then factory workers are having problems, even teachers are having problems. They are not coming together. They are not coming together. It is because of their caste identity. I don't know about here what is happening in Chennai, but in Maharashtra, people, though they share some problems, but they don't come together. When it comes to sharing of power, then the idea of the caste comes up. So here in this slide, I just want to mention that caste, Dalit identity is a caste identity, is an asserted identity, means that formerly untouchable caste, they call themselves as Dalit, not Harijan or scheduled caste or exterior caste. And about the Dalit Panther movement, so it needs at least 1 or 2 hours lecture to talk about the Dalit Panther movement, because there are people like Namdev Dasar, J.B. Pawar, Arjun Dangle, those famous Marathi writers, those who contributed to this movement. So I am not going to delve into this topic. So I would like to just move the next point. I would like to begin this anti-caste movement or anti-caste idea with Jyotiba Phule. You might have heard his name. He is considered to be one of the modern thinkers in Maharashtra. He had his education in Scottish Mission School. He had command over English, Arabic, Persian. He could read because of his friend. His friend called Usman Sheikh. He used to teach him Arabic and Persian. So he was quite aware of what is in Arabic literature or what is happening in that particular field. Even he was aware of what was happening in America. He has written a book called Gulamgiri, which is translated in English as slavery. And he devoted that book to black movement in America. Just imagine, he was writing in 1865-66 and he was devoting his book to the people, those who are fighting against racial discrimination in America. So he was aware of what was happening in America. He was aware of what was happening in Arabic countries. So, if you just look at this point that I have mentioned, the first point which is quite interesting, especially for girls. So he started a school in Pune only for girls. Because girls or women were not allowed to enter school and have education. Because women are considered as Shudra. And Shudra has no right to have education. Even upper caste women, I would like to mention Brahmin women, were not allowed to have formal education at all. So he started school for girls. 13 girls were enrolled. And out of those 13 girls, 8 were Brahmin girls. And 5 from other castes. And when he started the school, he was facing some issues. Some people were against his decision, even his father. His father asked him to leave the house. So he was homeless. And at that time, his friend Usman Sheikh, he met him and he took him to his home. So the persons like Usman Sheikh or Fatima Sheikh, so they have equal contribution to girls' education in India. Even in Maharashtra, we are celebrating the birth anniversary of Fatima Sheikh as the foundation of women education. We consider Savitribai Phule and Fatima Sheikh as equal when it comes to girls' education. Because both Fatima Sheikh and Savitribai Phule, they enrolled for teacher training program. They got the certificates of teaching diploma or teaching degree from a mission school from Ahmednagar, and they started teaching girls. So there were 2 teachers, Fatima Sheikh and Savitribai Phule, who were teaching these girls. Because when Jyotiba Phule was teaching these girls, people were reluctant to send their girls to school. And Jyotiba realized that girls are not coming to school because he is a male teacher. So he asked his wife, Savitribai Phule, and his friend's wife, Usman's wife, Fatima, to enroll for teacher training program. And they enrolled it and completed the program and started teaching to Muslim or all girls from all religions and all the castes. Then the next point, Tritiya Ratna, it's a Marathi play by Jyotiba Phule. It was published. It was written, not published. It was written in 1853, but published in 1988. Written in 1853, published in 1988. And we have to look into this issue, why it wasn't published when it was written. Before Britishers came to Maharashtra, Maharashtra was ruled by Peshwas. And Peshwas were upper caste. When Peshwas were defeated, Britishers started a program called Dakshina Samiti. You know the word Dakshina? Dakshina, which is given to priest. After when he performs the rituals, that we give something to the priest. That's called Dakshina in Marathi. So the Britishers started Dakshina Samiti. Because priests had nothing to do at that time when Peshwas were defeated. So British said, okay, you will get your share, but you have to write books about your society. Britishers were very clever. They wanted information about Maharashtra and from local people. So they said, if you want to get money, you have to write about your area, about your agriculture, your religion, your caste, your rituals, your festivals. Document it, and then we will pay. And a committee was formed. And the committee was mostly led by upper caste. When Phule wrote this play, Tritiya Ratna, this play was negated or rejected by the Dakshina committee because it was presenting the caste problem in that text. It was against the unjust upper caste. So the people who were upper caste in the Dakshina Samiti, they rejected the text and called it rubbish. So it remained unknown to us till 1988 when it was published for the first time, though written in 1853. So therefore I have mentioned this point here. Then Satyashodak Samaj. As I mentioned, till 1872 people were not sure about their religious identity, especially Hindus. So Phule had this idea in his mind. So he started to establish a particular group, you can call it a religious group, we can call it religious group, a group called Satyashodak Samaj. And he wrote a book called Satyashodak, let me remember the text, Sarvajanik Satya Dharma. He called it Sarvajanik Satya Dharma, just like we have Bhagavad Gita for Hinduism, or Quran for Muslims, Bible for Christians. He wanted to write a book for his followers. And he wrote the book and called it Sarvajanik Satya Dharma. And he asked his followers to follow that book. Because we were looking at other religions, Muslims or Christians or Sikhs. He said, look, these people, they have their particular guidelines, way of life. But these people, they are scattered. They are not together. So they should come together and follow a particular text or particular, we call it Granth. And he wrote Sarvajanik Satya Dharma. And he established his name, his book as Satyashodak Samaj in 1872. Then the next point, that he supported folk theatre to propagate his ideas. Now, in those days, people were hardly educated. It was very difficult to propagate the idea of caste equality. So he brought together various folk performers and asked them to form a group and visit villages surrounding Pune area, visit the villages and educate the people about the caste issue or the unjust social system they were having at that time. And he named it Satyashodak Jalsa. I think the word Jalsa is an Arabic or Persian word. It's a Persian word, Jalsa. So he called it Jalsa, Satyashodaki Jalsa. So people, those performers would go to different villages and propagate his ideas. Next. So the Phule's contribution to anti-caste has to be taken into account when it comes to academics or when it comes to caste activism. Then the next figure, which is quite well known, which is called as the founder, the main source behind the Constitution of India, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. I have mentioned some points. All the points cannot be mentioned here, though I just chosen some points which are very important for the discussion. See, the first point I have mentioned, caste in India, their mechanism, genesis and development. Now, when Ambedkar, he was born in 1891, he was in Columbia in 1916. When he was 25 years old, he was in Columbia, in America, in New York. So, he presented a paper. You know what research paper is. So, he presented a paper titled, "This Caste in India, Their Mechanism, Genesis and Development." In that paper, he introduced the caste system to the Western world. People were aware of it, but people like Orientalist William Jones or those who had been to India, they were aware of the caste system. But what about the people, those who were residing in the West? So he introduced this the problem to the Western world through this research paper called "Caste in India: The Mechanism, Genesis and Development" when he was in Columbia University in 1960. He was 25 years old at that time, and he was pursuing his masters in economics. Then the next is Mahar Satyagraha in 1927. I just going through the chronology. After that, I will come to the literature and the film. So you should know all these issues when it comes to Dalit studies or caste discrimination in India, as far as Maharashtra is concerned. Mahad Satyagraha in 1927, there was a tank, water tank in Mahad. Mahad is a place near Mumbai, it's in Raigad district. And there was a water tank, it was available to all the people except untouchables. So, Ambedkar, he got his friends and asked the untouchables in Mumbai to go to Mahad and take the water from the tank and drink it. So it was just one kind of satyagraha. He was using Gandhi's ideology of satyagraha at that time. Later on he realized that Gandhi's idea of satyagraha doesn't work in case of caste issue or caste discrimination. So initially in 1920s, late 1920s, he was using Gandhi's case of satyagraha. So therefore I used the word Mahad Satyagraha. So he went to the tank and then some upper caste people, they objected to his decision. They went to the court. One of the person came forward and he said that this water tank is a private property, it's not public property. And it's my decision to allow or not to allow. So there was a case of public and private. Ambedkar thought that water tank was public property. But one person, he came forward and he said that it's a private property, it's owned by my forefathers. But his friend, Ambedkar's friend, called Chitnis, he searched some government documents and he came across that document in which it is mentioned that the Britishers have spent some amount on cleaning the tank. And because of that document, it is established that that water tank is a public property. Your college is public property. Because it runs on taxpayers' money. I am a teacher, I get paid because of the taxpayers' money. So I am responsible for the government, and I am responsible for the people of India. Because I am taking money from their pockets. So this public and private, this issue was raised at the time of Mahad Satyagraha. If government is spending some amount on a particular property, it means that property belongs to public. It's not a private property at all. Because government is using the money of the people. We as teachers are paid because you are paying taxes. We are paying taxes. So I am here as a public figure. I am not a private personality here. Because I am paid by someone. I am paid by my college. My college has given me the leave. So this issue was raised in 1927 in Mumbai High Court. Public and private, this property issue. Then temple entry movement. Here Ambedkar was not interested in going to the temple or praying to the God. He just wanted to show the world we are not Hindus. If other castes from Hindus, they can enter the temple, why can't we? It means that we are different from them and we are not like them, or we are Hindus. So Ambedkar wanted to prove that. He was not interested in entering the temple. Here in Chennai as well, the attempt was made in 1930s, early 1930s, but it was failed. One of the leaders, Congress leaders from Tamil Nadu, called M. Raja, he wrote a letter to Gandhi and asked him to pass a resolution in Chennai, in Madras presidency, to open all the temples to untouchables. Gandhi wrote a letter to Sri Raja Gopalachari. Can we do these things? So Raja Gopalachari objected to it. He said it's not good now. We can do it later on. Then Gandhi replied to M. Raja that we can't take decision in Madras presidency. We have taken it in Bombay presidency, but in Madras presidency we can't take it. And because of that, M. Raja resigned the Congress party and he joins another party which was established by Periyar, Justice Party. People are not aware of what was happening in 1930s. It's very significant for me for Tamil Nadu, it's a very significant issue. That why in 1930s untouchables were not allowed to enter the temple. At the same time, Congress party at that time, not Congress party of this time, I'm talking about 1930s. Why Congress was allowing in Bombay presidency, why not in Tamil Nadu, why not in Madras? So we have to look into this. Then Pune Pact. We know that there were roundtable conferences, two roundtable conferences. For the first roundtable conference, Gandhi didn't went. Gandhi objected to first roundtable conference, but for the second he went, and he went to oppose the idea of separate electorate. And the idea of reservation is enshrined in this pact in 1935. Britishers gave untouchable separate electorate. Gandhi was against it. Then Gandhi and Ambedkar signed a pact. Gandhi said, instead of separate electorate, you can have reservations. You can have reserved seats. So the idea of reservation is not post-independence idea. It is located in 1930s in this act called Pune Pact. Then in 1935, Yevla is a Tassi place in Nasik district in Maharashtra, where Ambedkar, he was very angry with Gandhi because he had to sign the Pune Pact against his wish. And in Yevla's speech, he made a point that though I am born as a Hindu, I am not going to die as Hindu. So in 1935, openly he said that he is going to change the religion. He is going to convert to some other religion. It is because he realized that within Hinduism, one cannot live without his caste identity. Here in India now, hardly we find a Hindu as a religion, not a regional identity. I'm talking about religious identity. Otherwise, some people may get confused with regional and religious identity. Some people define Hinduism as per the region. Some people define Hindus as per the religion. It's a different mechanism which works behind this word. So, he declared that he is not going to die as Hindu. Then annihilation of caste I mentioned, and then conversion to Buddhism. In 1956, he converted to Buddhism in Nagpur. As per his proclamation, also as per his declaration in Yola in 1935, after 21 years, he converted to Buddhism. And in these 21 years, Aga Khan, a Muslim leader, some Christians, they approached Ambedkar and they introduced their religion to Ambedkar and wanted him to convert in that religion. Even Sikhism. Some Sikh leaders also approached Ambedkar. Ambedkar was initially interested in Sikhism because he had that idea that Sikh religion is a modern one and it has got equality. But later on he realized that no, the Sikh has also caste system. And then he studied Buddhism and he converted to Buddhist ideology or Buddhism. Even some other caste, those who are so-called right-wing people, they call Buddha as Vishnu's avatar or incarnation of Vishnu. And Ambedkar openly negated this point in 1956. He said that Buddha is not Vishnu's avatar, Buddha is a different one. It's a different religion. Then Dalit Panther, I mentioned this, I am not going to discuss this in detail. Already that I talked about Dalit Panthers. What is that the definition of Dalits and alliance with Dalits? I told you that Communist Party was interested in forming alliance between the left and Dalits. Then worldly rights and that Dalit Panthers couldn't last for 2 years. It fell apart. So next. Now I'm going to discuss literature. Whatever just I have told is just a brief history of anti-caste activism in Maharashtra. Now I'm going to discuss literature. In this slide I have included 3 Marathi the self-narratives. Some people call it autobiographies, but I call it self-narratives. So first one is Baruta by Daya Pawar, or second one Utsaya by Lakshman Gaikwad. Utsaya is known as the branded in English, it's translated in English as the branded. Then Apkarmashi it is also available in English translation as Outcast. So you can order, it's available on Amazon and you can order all these books. All these books are available in English. So recently translated Jerry Pinto from Mumbai, he has translated Baruta in English. Means all the texts are available in English. Even as far my knowledge, the Utsaya, the branded, is available in French as well. It's translated in French. Here I would like to mention one point. Some people call self-narratives as success stories. Because people, those who could get education, who could get jobs, who could get little bit space in upper caste domination, so they have written these works. Therefore, some critic, they say that these are success stories. What about the people, those who have not succeeded? No doubt that it includes the agonies they have gone through. No doubt that it includes the problems they have faced. But at the end, they project themselves as a successful person. But what about the person, those who couldn't go to school? What about the person who couldn't get his share in power? So this thing is not mentioned, and I'm quite agree with this point. It was mentioned in the discussion in Italy, in University of Genoa, and I was quite impressed that Italian girl or student, she was raising this point. And then after the lecture, I went to her and asked her, how did you know this? So she said that for the last 2 years, I'm working on the Dalit Sahitya, or Dalit literature in India. So I was very happy that someone who is not Indian or who is Italian and who is working on Dalit issues and talking about equality. So I want you as well to work on these points. No doubt the ample research work or ample writing is available on these self-narratives, but you can come up with different understanding of the text. You can talk about linguistic issue, which is not yet touched upon. That's how the language of the text is different from other texts. There are so many things they can look into. Then, theatre. I just go through quickly. I have taken almost 50-55 minutes. When it comes to theatre, now theatre, see, it requires a particular auditorium. I'm talking about box theatre. I'm not talking about performance studies or folk theatre. Here I am talking about box theatre. Box theatre means a performance in an auditorium. If you just look at the demography demography of Chennai, you will see the particular class lives in particular area. Just like Mumbai, South Mumbai is known for elite class. When it comes to the other for mill workers, I think Chennai might have the same demographic structure here. And you can see that auditoriums or theatres are situated at the area where upper caste or elite are dominant. You can't see theatres in slums. So what about the performance or the performers who are from slums and who want to perform in the theatre? It means that they have to work with upper caste to enter the theatre and perform there. So till 1980s, 1985, Dalit dramatists and their works were not performed in theatre. Thanks to some CPI leaders or communist leaders in Mumbai and Pune, so they approached theatre owners and asked them to open the theatre for their performances. So in 1985, a play called A Sip of Water was performed in Bal Gandharva in Pune, which is still considered to be an upper class domination in theatre. So then I have mentioned some players here that's how non-Dalit dramatists and Dalit dramatists they represent Dalits. Non-Dalit dramatists look at Dalit as class identity, while Dalit dramatists they look at caste identity. So one should understand the difference between caste and class. Class is not fixed. It's a temporary thing. You are poor now. You can get education. You can get good jobs. You can move upward. But in case of caste, caste is fixed identity. Whether you become rich or elite, your caste identity remains the same. So these are the different identities. But non-Dalit dramatists, they didn't make the difference between these two. But Dalit dramatists, they made the difference. So these are the plays that I mentioned, Vata Palavata, Monument Tattadila. And these plays are also available in English. So if you want the PPT or slides after my lecture, so I have WhatsApp to Hussein. So you can share with your students, those who are interested in this issue. Next one. About women. Have you studied Tamil theatre? Is anyone here who has studied Tamil theatre or Tamil drama? Will you please name some female dramatists in Tamil? Because this area is dominated by male dramatists. In Maharashtra, I don't know about the Tamil. If you have Tamil female dramatists, then I'm so happy. Because, do you have an example? Yeah. It's a play. It's not a mainstream theatre. That's the problem that we are facing. Because even if you see English drama, most of the dramatists are male. William Shakespeare, male figure. Ben Jonson, Harold Pinter, Samuel Beckett, Albert Camus. All these are male dramatists. So why there are no female dramatists? You have to just answer these questions in your research paper or in your research. Why women are not writing plays? Why they are writing poetry? Why they are writing novels? Why they are not writing plays? This question I think one should understand and one should focus in the research work. Why women are not writing plays? Even in Western world. In Western world as well, that most of the dramatists are male. And in Dalit theatre as well, most of the Dalit dramatists are male dramatists. There is not a single case which is discussed in academic. There are one or two examples, but they don't get enough space in academics. We have male Dalit writers in the syllabus. Why don't we have female Dalit writers? So this point is raised by Dalit writers, and there is a good research paper available on JSTOR. It was published in Economic and Political Weekly, written by Gopal Guru, who used to teach in JNU. So he has written the article named Dalit Women Talks Differently. That is, Dalit women talk differently. They are different from Dalit men. And how and why they are talking differently, the answers are given in their research paper. And it's available on JSTOR. If you want, I can mail you. You can contact me after the lecture. I will share my mobile number. So if you are interested in this work for your research work or for your projects, then I'll share some writings and share some research papers. Then this is in Marathi women, this total violence, epistemic, systemic violence. Actually, this term systemic and epistemic violence are coined by Gayatri Chakravarti's work. Then the intensity of violence, Dalit patriarchy. Even Dalit men are not allowing Dalit women to go ahead. This Dalit patriarchy exists in Dalit studies. So patriarchy is not limited to a particular section of the society. It has, even in say those who call themselves feminists. So they are anti-feminist to some extent. And therefore nowadays, black American female writers, they don't call themselves feminists, they call themselves humanists. We are women. That is, biology or this body is important to them. So, Dalit poets, there are some examples of Namdev Dasal and their language is different, their aggression and depiction of caste violence. These are the three issues that one can find in Dalit poetry. This is quite interesting now. Films. I told you that I have included two films of Southern and Lagan. These are the 3 points. The first point is skin color of Dalit characters. Have you watched Mandela? In which Yogi Babu has Mandela? Yeah. So I watched it 2 years ago. So why Yogi Babu is performing the role of a lower caste? Why not any other leading actor in Tamil who is, as far as skin is concerned, a little bit fair? When it comes to the representation of Dalits, Dalits are presented as black. In Sultan, a character, Dalit character performed by Sriram Lagu. Sriram Lagu put on black makeup in that film to represent the Dalit character. And there is an article which is available on internet. If you visit the website scroll.in, you have that article about films and depiction of blackface. So why characters, they are putting on black makeup? Why they are putting on the black makeup? To represent Dalit characters. So we have example from Sultan, it's a Hindi film from 1983. Then in Lagan is quite interesting. So even names of Dalit characters are very typical. In Lagan, the name of that Dalit character is Kachara or Kachara, dirt. They call him Kachara. See the names of the Dalit characters. Even you can have your project or research paper on names of Dalit characters in movies, in Tamil movies. That is why they are named as dirt, as lower, as inferior. So one can look into that issue. So this issue is not limited to Maharashtra. Even in Tamil Nadu as well, that you can see these problems. In Tamil films, I give you an example of Yogi Babu and Mandela. Then Dalit women as victims of violence. In films, Dalit women are shown as victims of either physical violence or sexual assault. So this kind of typical representation of Dalits we find in films, especially in Bollywood films. So with these points, I would like to conclude my presentation. So there are other topics as well, but because of the time limit that I have to limit myself to these issues. Otherwise, I could have talked about Marathi films and how Dalits are represented in Marathi films and what is happening in the distribution of films. That is how films are distributed. This is one kind of politics you have to look out. Thank you very much for your patience and tolerating me. Thank you.
Is there any questions regarding this?
I'm sorry that confined myself to 40 minutes. I'm very sorry.
It's okay, sir.
Because there were too many things to discuss.
The time that was got from the rate of writing and the rate of publishing actually asked who or where was the text preserved until it was published?
Thank you. Can we go one by one? I'll answer the first question, then we can
Yeah, okay, no issues.
So, there was a person. No, I'm audible. This is my class is like this. So I manage without mic. Am I audible to you? Class? Yes. Please be seated. There was a person called Mukund Rao Pati. His grandfather. So he was documenting what was happening in Pune and what Pune was doing. And when researchers, especially a person called Anupama Rao, she is in US now. She is from Andhra. So she teaches in Barnard College in Columbia. She teaches history. My friend Dr. Aniket already is no more now. He passed away so Aniket and Anupama. So they came across with that person Mukund Rao Pati in 1988. And they got the book, and after reading they took the decision to publish it. It is because of the Anupama Rao and Dr. Aniket Zawade, who was head of the department in Pune University. That book got published. You can Google Anupama Rao and you will find this book.
The next question is that as you have done research in this study, have you some instance where you possibly found one reason for why this particular discrimination or this particular problem is actually being extended even after the education started?
I mentioned in my presentation, what do you mean by education? Do you mean our intellectual progress, or do you mean our economic progress?
If you ask me this question, I would probably make it as a point of awareness.
Okay.
Educating people.
Okay, it's very nice of you. And I'm so happy that you got a student like you who is interested in awareness. Otherwise, students those who come to the college, they are very much aware of your about the careers. They are very much concerned about the careers and about the money and about the jobs. The job will follow. So there is a dialogue in Three Idiots, the Indian movie. I mean, कोई कामयाब दोनों कामयाब तब ये जो सक्सेस है तो वो अपने आप पीछे आ जाए पहले कामयाब हो पहले सक्सेस का बात करोगे तो कामयाब कैसे होंगे
If you look at the plays, even novels, most of them are set in a village background. It's all about what the rituals, in change context, you have Dalits were covered in their own way. Why is that? Dalit literature refuses to talk about Dalit urban sensibility or consciousness.
Okay, it's very interesting topic. I must thank you. But even in Maharashtra, people say that the Dalit literature is difficult. It has become monotonous. It doesn't address the current situation in urban areas. But nowadays, instead of words, people are shifting towards visuals. I was discussing ourselves that we should combine words with visuals in our syllabus. There should be a paper on film studies for UG classes. So that they can make short films, they can work on short films, they can read and they can make. So both these processes will work together, hand in hand. So it's true that nowadays that people are not writing about the current scenario in urban areas, but they are making videos. Videos are one kind of text. They are making videos. Even they are publishing articles on online platforms like scroll.in I mentioned. And then even say there is one person remember from South, velivara.com. They are publishing on websites. They are making videos. So their work is not available in the form of paper and words. Their works are available in the form of visuals. And that's the reason in the last slide I focused on 2 films. I didn't talk about recent short film or recent movies in Marathi or English because I was looking at shock because some people were a little bit tired. I don't know, they are not used to 1.5 hour discussion, I think. So I was looking at them and I was worried about what can I do and did I rush.
So just to enforce this knowledge about your question, this question was put to one of the recent writers. I think it was Ivan who responded to this. He said, see, when my house is burning, I cannot use the whole searching for the light from the TV. It's all burning there. Urban sensibility you're talking about. So when that is house is burning, what is he going to worry about light for his TV? It's the response. Just enforcing it.
So I just want to add on the Britishers' point. You say Britishers came on the I want to add that Britishers were clever and actually they came and exploited us. Like last week's Dalit said, they said we'll help you, we'll give you meat and you'll grow larger and stronger. But we have to convert to Christians. So every day people convert to Christians, which is helpful for the Christians. Every man is responsible for everything happens to him and everything happens to everyone else. So we have to read this all dates. For example, every writer is writing some village, everything is burning, and in 1970s Ambedkar. So what I'm saying is a new wave should come to Dalit literature. For example, we have to bring the field to the city, not on the village states. We have to bring to the cities and we can win easily because we are majority. No one can harm us. They can harm only through hidden agenda, which we can easily find out. So we have an advantage here. The only thing we have to do is bring that game to the city. So a new wave should come to the Dalit region. That's what I promise.
I think this point is what you have raised about urban sensitivity.
Sir, please my case.
Because what including this, we are missing out on very significant the life, how Dalits negotiate the life. That's a very important point.
Next time I will do this. I will only Dalits in urban
Don't you think that even in corporate field, Brahmins dominate the scheduled caste? Don't you think that the way it's happening, indirectly they wanted to know what's your caste. Indirectly they pick one, PNR, they ask
What I'm saying, they can do it indirectly, not on face to face. It's all hidden
you
agenda.
are educated, but even in that experience, these things is actually great, right? Though it's indirect or that, you are educated, but still this is great, right?
in Maharashtra, that person asked you about your name and your village. Because of your name and village, you can understand your caste identity. So therefore, in Marathi it is called Nav Gav Uchari. That is name of the village or name of the person. These two things are very important in introduction.
So similar ways, echoed by Obama's tradition, where you ask a person street where he comes from. That decides his caste. They're not directly asked what is one last question. One last question.
So it's not a question, it's just a compliment. Last year, our department has made an event and they posted a documentary related to this and named India Untouchables. And before that, I didn't have a lot of idea about this. After seeing that and hearing your lecture, gave me really good ideas. So, just a compliment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your fruitful session. I'm sure that our side towards the literature of Dalit writers here onwards will obviously be set on the basis of your literature. Thank you once again, sir. Now we have come to an end. Now I call upon Mr. Mohammed Irfan, Department Secretary, to give a vote of thanks.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon to all of our listeners here. On behalf of the Department of English, it's my privilege and honor to deliver the vote of thanks at this wonderful event. First and foremost, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed teachers, Dr. Somnath, Kisan, Jagtap. Your insightful lecture has provided us with a deeper understanding of the Dalit studies and has enriched our knowledge as well. I'd like to express my sincere thanks to our Controller of Examinations and Head of the Department, Professor Syed Sarvadar, for his unwavering support and guidance. And my gratitude also goes to Professor Dalit, head in charge, whose efforts has contributed to whose efforts have been crucial in making this event a reality. A special thanks to Dr. Mohammed Hussain, Vice President of ELA, for his invaluable support in coordinating this event. I'm also grateful to Dr. Anwar Sadat sir, PhD sir, the Accuracy Director, for his assistance in ensuring the quality of and effectiveness of this program. Your role in maintaining this academic standard is greatly appreciated. I would like to acknowledge and thank our Department Deputy Secretary Mohammed Kaus for his dedication and hard work behind the scenes. Furthermore, I extend the appreciation to all the other esteemed staff members who have played part in this event. Their collaboration and support have been crucial in making this event a successful one. A big thank to you all volunteers whose enthusiasm and hard work have been indispensable. Last but not least, I would like to thank all the students for their active participation and keen interest. Your presence and engagement are what make these events worthwhile. Thank you.